Going on, Jerome's? It's Monday. It's a new day, a new dawn, and birds are chirping and stuff, and it's a beautiful day, and it's time for another Vikings news dump, and also the NFL Combine kicks off this week, pun intended, and the Underwear Olympics. So, is it the be-all, end-all? No, but can guys seriously help the draft stock? Yes, especially if there are some questions about agility, lateral movement, strength, even though we'll get into strength here. And also, the key thing at the Combine is the interviews, but we'll do up a separate Combine rant video, but it's a great time to revisit and remember that Kevin O'Connell is a physical freak. So the pride of San Diego State University was pretty damn good, man. So 6'5", 2 and a quarter. He was a 9.64 out of 10 on the RAS scale, which is good. It's pretty damn good, right? Also, 4.6, 140. Look at that 10-yard split, man. It's pretty damn fantastic. Vert is only 31. Now, if his vert had been like 36, 37, maybe he could have been a 3-and-D, two guard or a small forward in the league, but that didn't quite work out. But yeah, Kevin O'Connell is fantastic. But at the Combine, they have to replace the bench, because bench is one specific movement that really doesn't come into account in the NFL. Now, yes. You could say, well, what about offensive and defensive linemen? Pushing each other in the trenches. Yes, but also you got your ass in there too. Plus, leverage matters. So the times when you're literally just straight up bench pressing a dude, on push day, doesn't really come into account. Now, I understand, but if you're going to take it out, what would you replace it with? I would do hang cleans. I think that's more relevant to functional strength, especially core strength, and plus coordination, as well as total functional fitness. I think that would be a better indicator of what they're looking for. But either way, there's no perfect one. But just look into all these luminaries. Justin Ernest from Eastern Kentucky, go Colonels, with 51. Now remember, the bench is 225, so the bar and 245 plates on each side. I mean, it's pretty hefty for us civilians, but for guys who are dishing for the NFL, no big deal. But Stephen Paella, Oregon State, had 49 back in the day. Mike Kudia from the Ohio State, Mitch Petrus, Leif Larson, Jeff Owens, Broderick Bunkley. I mean, Broderick Bunkley is probably the only one who had a decent career on this list. Netani Moody, I still think that Netani Moody could be good, man. A former Bronco, former Raider. Kyle Arrington, as well as Scott Young. I don't know, man. But it's always rough, too. And you saw a rash of pec injuries. You still do. Where before, I mean, there's a lot of guys around and everyone was hyping up dudes on the bench. And there's always like a strength coach or an offensive line coach just really hyping them up. And if you go past failure, you can pop a pec. And it's generally not good. So I do like that it's basically isolated now. But Nah. Get rid of the bench. But Kevin O'Connell was did KOC do the bench? No, he didn't. Coward. But speaking of Kevin O'Connell, so KOC as an offensive play caller, work in progress, right? And obviously he's done really good things with Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and he should get credit for getting the pass round up to speed for a game and a half. And Mullins threw for 400 yards in his offense. It's cool, right? But lack of a cohesive run game, as well as a lot of questions about him play calling, some in the red zone, but especially third and fourth and short. And I do think that even with the injuries, Kevin O'Connell did cost the Vikings a couple of games last season, including Denver, including Chicago. But it's neither here nor there. Anyways, the 33rd team, Derek Clausen, longtime writer over there, the best offensive play callers in the NFL. And Kevin O'Connell clocks in at 7. Now, it's an interesting list. So, Kyle Shanahan at 1. I mean, yes. But how can you go against Andy Reid? Or does Andy Reid get the Mahomes tax? Where it's like, anyone would be good with Patrick Mahomes. What about Cliff at Texas Tech? I don't know, man. But yeah, Kyle Shanahan 1. I mean, maybe regular season. Yeah, I don't know. Sean McVay. It's hard not to have Sean McVay at 1, right? And, McVay, no matter who they have under center, no matter the roster turnover. I mean, McVay's offenses are always good. Mike McDaniel at 4. I mean, again, is this strictly a regular season list? Sure, but McDaniel's run game during the season was fantastic with Mostert and Kane. It was really good. Tua and the track meet on the outside with Tyreek and Waddle. I mean, yeah, the offense was good. Matt LaFleur, a 12-year-old boy. I mean, the first half of this year with Jordan Love and that young receiving core, not so much, but second half picked up. And also, hey, if Andy Reid gets Patrick Mahomes tax, how come LaFleur doesn't get the Rodgers tax, who was allegedly a back-to-back MVP, not so recently? Sean Payton. So Sean Payton should definitely get the Drew Brees tax because, I mean, there's really nothing that stood out about his offense after Brees retired or in his year in Denver so far. I don't know. Kevin O'Connell at 7. And I understand this is going to be a controversial one, but 13-4 won the division last year. Got the best out of Kirk Cousins. And, hey, remember, the media always poo-poos on Kirk Cousins. Like, oh, Kirk Cousins sucks. Oh, well, in 2022, the Vikings were 7th in points and 8th in yards, which was a substantial improvement over 2021 and the Kubiai. So it's no big deal. I think that Kevin O'Connell, he's learning on the job because, remember, he wasn't a full-time play caller with the Rams and not really in Washington either. He did call some plays, though. But so he's learning on the job both to be a head coach and offensive play caller. And there will be some growing pains, but I think that he is on the right track. Shane Steichen, formerly of the Eagles when they went on the Super Bowl run last year with the Colts. Dorsey and Stefanski. How come? Okay, well, what has Ken Dorsey done that says, hey, he's a really good offensive play caller? Now, Stefanski, yes. Like I think Stefanski did really good things his 1 year as full-time OC in 2019 with Kirk and company, got him the Browns head coaching job. And also I think that he's done really good things with the Browns. I would jump in Joe Flacco and whatever. Now, the interesting one is Ben Johnson. I'm surprised Ben Johnson isn't top 3. Because the media just slobbers. They love them some Ben Johnson. They love them some BJ. And I don't understand it. Like, I know that people are more confused about O'Connell at 7. I'm way more confused about Ben Johnson at 10, but doesn't matter. Something that does matter is signing Justin Jefferson. And Pro Football Talk, after the cap went up, Florio, that's not a thermos, basically just put up a piece whining. The Justin Jefferson contract got more expensive on Friday. The Vikings probably wish they gotten receiver Justin Jefferson signed to a second contract before Friday. Whether that whether they ever will remains to be seen. So he sounds just like a complete wet blanket Vikings fan right now. It's like, oh, they're never going to sign him. But here's the thing. I'm sure there was a number of holdups behind the scenes why Jefferson didn't sign an extension last offseason when he was eligible. Number one, the Vikings still had 2 years, 2, 3, you could say 3 or 4 years of full control if you want to count the multiple franchise tags, which is fine. And generally, teams don't extend players that have more than 1 year remaining on their deal. And even though, JJ through 3 seasons was absolutely dynamite, I mean, I'm sure that they could have had some reservations too. Also, significant guarantees, the team does have to put a certain amount up in escrow, and maybe that factored in as well, especially with Kirk Cousins last year with the heavy guarantee. Who knows? But the whole thing is too, where if Jefferson's agent was worth two poops, he would have seen the large cap increase due to, I mean, they have all the behind the scenes data and numbers and all of the COVID nonsense getting paid off from that year, as well as the big time broadcasting rights with Amazon and renewed TV deals, as well as Peacock. So, I mean, it would have been very stupid of the agent to not see that the cap was going to go up precipitously this year as well as future years. So, I mean, it would have. I mean, I think that could have been the major holdup. It's like, why sign for $30 million per year when your market rate, when the cap goes up and CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase gets paid, might be 42, right? And I think you are going to see some crazy numbers in free agency because of the cap going up. And no, like, the JJ contract was going to be more expensive, but it isn't a regret of not signing him earlier, because maybe you would have never signed him earlier in the first place. Or maybe with the agent having the foresight, it would have, I mean, maybe they were asking for $40 million per year last year, which would have blown the doors off the roof of Tyreek Hill's contract, and I think it would have raised a lot more eyebrows without taking into context the cap raise. Who knows? Speaking of no cap, so Russell Wilson and his new team may take up just a little bit cap. So Russell Wilson rumors. Feeling is quarterback signs NFL minimum contract after Broncos exit. Now, a lot of people ran with this of the reports. Oh, Russ is going to sign for the league minimum. Why can't Kirk Cousins take a pay cut? Or Tom Brady always took less. Russ is just doing more. He wants to be part of a winning team, and once the Broncos cut him, he's going to sign for the league minimum. But this is not altruistic at all. This is not Russell saying like, hey, I know that my market rate is like $40 million. I'm going to take 1.2 or whatever the league minimum is at 10 years. I think it's 1.21. This is not that. This is, hey, the Broncos, if and when they cut Russell Wilson, owe him $39 million fully guaranteed this year. And there is offset language, so Russell Wilson can't double dip. So basically every dollar above the league minimum that his new team signs him to is one less dollar on his new team's salary cap and one less dollar that his team the Broncos have to pay. So first off, no team is signing for Russ more than $39 million. So that's a moot point. But it actually, if Russ signs for anything more than the league minimum with his new team, he's just hurting his new team because it's so massively stupid. Russ gets the same amount of money either way. The question is, who is signing the checks? And if you're Russ, just make the Broncos pay the maximum. Sign for the league minimum wherever you go. Now, if Kirk leaves, I'm not for bringing in Russ, but for the league minimum, I don't know. I would still rather just go find a rookie quarterback in the future and just start him. I mean, at a certain point, just rip the Band-Aid off and go. Speaking of going, so the Vikings, as I choke and die, so the Vikings in the old school throwback uniforms, they're fantastic, man. I love them. NFL Fashion Advice is a great account to follow. Purple, white, and yellow have never looked better. Keep the matte helmet white mask instead of gray. Replace the stripes with the Northman on the sleeve, and you got the best uniform in Vikings history. I think it's pretty damn good right now. I mean, those improvements could be debated and talked about, but these uniforms need to be the full-time home unis. Now, I understand that the Vikings are 0-2 wearing these because they loused against the Bucs week 1 and they loused against the Bears on Monday Night Football, but don't care. It's like if you play poker and you blame your results on the seat. Whether I didn't pick the good seat today. No. But this is a damn good uniform and keep them long term. Also, speaking of long term, well, actually short term, the Vikings, if they assign some free agent help at edge rusher, if they lose Daniil, if they lose DJ Wanham, we'll put out a poll. If the money was the same, would you rather sign Marcus Davenport, who often injured last year, 1 year, $13 million deal with the Vikings, is going to be a free agent, or Emmanuel Ogbah, recently released from the Miami Dolphins, had great success, back-to-back 9-sack seasons with Brian Flores back in the day, and even though he is 30, going to be 31, he still has some good football left in him. And again, if the price is the same, say it's a $4 million deal with some incentives over a couple more million, I would take Ogbah. And 86%, Jake Reed, what a percent of Jerome's 5,800 voted, agree. And yeah, I understand that Davenport probably has more upside at at the respective stages of their career, but I just need a dude who can get his own rush for, I don't know, 250 snaps a season. And I do think that Ogbah could do that for a year, maybe 2 or 3. And I have no faith. Again, I understand that Ogbah got dinged up too, but not the level of Davenport. Questionable. So Adam Schefter, former Commanders offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy is finalizing a 2-year deal to join UCLA staff as associate head coach. Offensive coordinator Souses tell ESPN's Pete Thamel and me. So Sean Foster is the new head coach in Westwood, take over Chip Kelly. But what's Eric Bieniemy got to do, man? Where Eric Bieniemy was a great running back at Colorado, and he was a fantastic running backs coach for the Vikings with Adrian Peterson when he was coming into the league. And basically what it was, like, Adrian has always had his ass kissed wherever he's gone, and Bieniemy didn't play. Like, Bieniemy is a tough coach. He's demanding. He's in your face. And, I mean, some players don't respond to that. I thought Adrian Peterson was the best when Bieniemy was here. And, Bieniemy had all these seasons with Mahomes and Andy Reid as OC in Kansas City. Last year, he took the commies OC job to call plays and get on Andy's shadow. And I thought Bieniemy's offense was okay, even though his quarterback got sacked 17,000 times. I mean, the fact that he still put up kind of insane numbers, I mean, does speak to Eric Bieniemy. And I don't know what it is, whether it's maybe he doesn't interview well, maybe he's a better coordinator than a head coach. I don't know, but Bieniemy, I liked him when he is here in Minnesota. He's obviously had great success with Kansas City and Andy Reid and Mahomes and whatnot. But I hope that he'll eventually get his shot to be a head coach somewhere. Whether at college, whether it be the NFL. It all starts by putting together a hell of an offense at UCLA. So we'll see. Some we'll also see is this is great. So fantasy football loser. So last place in the league punishments stories are fantastic. I love them. This one's from Anthony Tatri. I lost our fantasy football league, so I'm here completing the Waffle House challenge. The rules are simple. Stay at a Waffle House for 24 hours, and for each waffle you eat, 1 hour is deducted off the total time. At start time, 8:20 a.m., which is impressive. Now, coded to the story, I think he ended up eating like 8 waffles, so he ended up bouncing out of there in the evening. Now, Waffle House, you Northerners don't understand Waffle House. I actually do think I'm Southern at heart, but Waffle House is fantastic. Now, Waffle House is also the location of viral late-night videos where maybe some inebriated customers start fighting the staff, and then the staff fights back. But at its heart, in terms of greasy spoon hangover food, Waffle House is great. Chopped, scattered, and covered. Get the hash browns. They're fantastic. I think their coffee is really good. And also, of course, the waffles. Now, before you say, well, that's easy, bro. Just eat 24 waffles and then you can leave. No. So these are not Eggo waffles. Like, these are really damn sizable. And, I mean, it's filling. I mean, it's a lot of carbs, a lot of sugar. I mean, you probably have like a diabetic coma crash afterwards. But, I mean, eight's a lot. 8 is definitely a lot, but like how would you go about this? He went through like he got different toppings, so that it would change things up a little bit. But I don't know what you would do. I think definitely like he did. I think you'd have to get a side of bacon where bacon isn't overly filling, but also it would break up the monotony of the sweetness with a little bit of savory and saltiness. Yeah, I think that's the way to go. But I mean, Waffle House is great. I mean, as long as you're not impeding them turning over a table if it's busy. I mean, just bring the laptop, get some work done, drink all the coffee in the world, maybe watch a fight. Who knows? Who knows, man? But Waffle House, I implore the great state of Minnesota and the Twin Cities to get them a Waffle House. Convert one of the Perkins. We got 17,000 Perkins that no one goes to. Make one a Waffle House. There you go. And lastly, Liverpool. So, with hope in your heart. All right, so Liverpool won the Carabao Cup yesterday, which, I don't know, in the grand scheme of cups, whatever, right? But this is Jurgen Klopp's final season at the helm, and I think they could send him out with a nice quad, hitting 4 trophies. So, Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, which is the most important, and then the Europa League, since they didn't qualify for Champions League this year. So hitting a nice quad on the way out would be fantastic to send out Jurgen Klopp. But Liverpool is starting to be like the Vikings, where they have injuries all over the place, especially to stud star players, and it may catch up to them. Who knows, man? But eyes on the prize, win the league. They got a big-time game against Man City coming up. I think they can do it. I think they can do it again. I think they're a damn good football team. I think that they do make mistakes. I think that they have lapses of concentration. I think that this is definitely a team in transition, especially since they got rid of a lot of their veteran leaders last year in Hendo and Bobby. And so, I don't know. And also jumping James Milner. Go ahead. But I got faith and hope in my heart. That's right, face. But that's it. Vikings news dump on this beautiful Monday. You guys are the best. Skol, production value.